Week in Review, April 29th, 2024. At Will Bennett. Hey Dave, Will Bennett here. I'm one of the athletes who took a major hit in Workout 1. I went from 12th place in the North American West region to 62nd and out of semifinal contention. I've been competing in CrossFit for many years, and I've been to semifinals the past 3 years in North America. I've never been penalized in any workout by CrossFit until now. As you know, to get to this level and beyond requires so much work, time, and energy. It's devastating that a ruling like this can end your season when it doesn't seem completely fair across the entire competition. It appears that other regions across the world did not have the same level of scrutiny as the North America region for Event 1. I was just hoping you could speak on this situation, please. Thank you, and I mean no disrespect with this comment. Thanks for the comment, Will, and clearly you mean no disrespect, and I respect and appreciate that, and you're in an incredibly tough situation, and it's something that spent a lot of time on this weekend. We did as a team, looking into and looking at the how this was playing out, and talking to a lot of people from the community, to include athletes and event organizers and other people I respect in the community, discussing what was going on and looking at it and trying to figure out if there was anything that could be done or if there was anything that should be done. And as you have experienced, there is a number of other people who've also had penalties and been knocked down on the leaderboard, or in some cases knocked to a position where they're completely out of a qualifying spot. And ultimately, as I went through this and I looked at how this was playing out, one of the things that I really leaned into were the numbers. And we did close to 1,000 reviews, and of those reviews, about around 180 or so were minor penalties, and around 160 were major penalties. So from that, about 35% of all videos for the videos submitted received a penalty. And so looking at it from a different perspective, or looking at it instead of looking at, which is a significant amount and something that, ideally we would have seen no penalties, or in a perfect world, all the athletes would have did this without issue. But 35% got penalties. About 16% of those were major penalties. From another perspective, 65% didn't have any penalties or have any issue, and then total about 85% had a minor penalty and or no penalty. So why I say that, and it's pretty similar and or consistent to years past when we used this model, video review, at the quarterfinal stage to assess those going forward and assess and implement penalties. It sucks, and it's not a outcome that I don't like to see. These athletes who work so hard end up not being able to advance onto the next stage for this. But it is the rules, it is the system put in place, it is how we did it last year, it's how we did it this year, and seeing that a large number, an overwhelming majority, did it, and we reviewed their videos and didn't have any issues, making any changes or doing anything different midstream to deviate from the plan as expected and as was put in place well before the season started would be a disservice to all the other athletes. And so, for example, one thing that a number of people said is, well, why don't you let athletes redo the workout, or why don't you have everyone do the workout over because you couldn't really fairly judge the step up? Had that number been flipped, had it been only 40% of the videos people were okay, and over 60% people did them incorrectly, I think then we'd have more of a case for doing something like that. But with the percentage falling where it is, and with the number of videos that didn't have issues getting signed off on, again over 65%, see a scenario, and that being similar and consistent to with how we did video submissions last year and around what the percentage were around penalties. I see that staying the course and not making any midstream changes is the appropriate path forward. So, that being said, I did and we did as a team think about and discuss, is there something we should do in this situation? And uh, we are not, and I think the numbers support that. All that being said, big picture, is this the right way to do it next year or in future years? I believe no. And so, will this system evolve, and will we handle online competitions, which frankly are not going anywhere, um, in a different way? Probably. For example, requiring angles for some of these videos and some of these movements where we have in the past and didn't this year probably could have helped clear some of this up. Um, Maybe there's a scenario where empowering judges, let me even back up to what I just said, help clearing some of this up to set the athlete up for success with their video submission. So what they're doing on scene and what their judge is seeing on scene is exactly what our team is able to see and judge off of. Also, encouraging placement of judges during these in a different position, etc., and or getting to an environment where, frankly, in the future, maybe the video review process isn't doing what it is now. Maybe we are taking ourselves completely out of the video review process, um, and empowering the judges and equipping them better and more, and equipping them to actually make the call where we are not coming in and overseeing and overruling. So those are things we're considering. I'm not saying they're happening, but they're definitely things I'm thinking about, and they're definitely things we're going to look at. And even requiring a third-party judge. And what I mean by that is nothing formal like a third-party organization, but something like, hey, you can't have your significant other or your camp or your gym mates judge you, and maybe it is someone from down the street, call it another affiliate owner or something like that. There'll be parameters or rules to get behind this. But the lesson learned from this, I think, is we definitely need to review the system and how we're doing it going forward. But at this time, I don't think we need to throw a grenade into how we did it this year, because it was understood going in this year. This was the system we're going to use, and we had the judges, the review process in place, and we collect the video, and then we review it, and then we assign penalties. And again, an overwhelming majority of people who did submit videos and did the workout didn't receive any penalties. So there was some aspect of it that is working. It's interesting because I had a call with A-Rod a couple weeks ago about a project that we were discussing working on. And one of the things he mentioned was, he talked about how long he was in baseball, and he talked about the sport, and he's a big fan of CrossFit. He CrossFits, and how how it's in its early stages of development and how young it is. And I really appreciated hearing that, and especially someone from the real pro sports like baseball, has been around for centuries, acknowledging that this is a young sport and a developing sport, even though we've been doing this for 15, 20 years. And I think oftentimes people expect things and systems and the way we do things to be so rigid and fixed and figured out and final, rather than understanding we are all learning too from all of this as we go on, because we've been around for 20 years almost, and that is pretty young, and there is a lot to learn and a lot to do different, and we've changed course often. You got to remember too, the quarterfinals, this stage is rather new. It's only been around for a few years in the spectrum of the CrossFit Games existence. So tons of learning around the quarterfinals. and around the way we do it. And I'm incredibly sorry for the athletes who I feel for them who are not advancing or who had a penalty. But at the end of the day, we had these rules, we had the system put in place, and again, a large amount of athletes were able to, by that system, by those rules, and by the requirements, able to do this without any issue. And so we have a large cohort of people advancing to the semifinals, and I believe firmly that it's the right people advancing to the semifinals based off the rules of this sport. And our team did a really good job. All the people uh, on the judging team, from Boz down, and all the people who helped out with the video review, of staying fair and not, taking into consideration. I've heard um, allegations that there's some unfairness going on or that they're targeting people. That is not how we operate. That's not how I operate. That is not how our team operates. They did a good job of being fair across all of these situations, and ones that did escalate, and especially as they escalated to major penalties and or people appealed, there were multiple eyes and multiple people who took a look at the videos and confirmed the calls by the team. So, Will, to wrap this up, I appreciate your note. I appreciate your comment. And the best thing I can say at this point is, don't get discouraged. Keep fighting. Keep training for the next comp and for the next year. And see you back at the semifinals next year and or however it looks. And see you on the leaderboard for sure. All right. Let's move on. At Chuck8149. I'm a 52-year-old CrossFitter, top 10%. I think you guys nailed the programming for quarters this year. Something there for everyone. But what's up with the 55 plus scaling of the workouts? At 70% loading and lower skill, these workouts don't seem to reward the same fitness levels as the 16 to 54 workouts. Looks like the lower skilled and lower strength athletes, like me, by the way, that's what he said, that may have struggled a bit with the 16 to 54 test will benefit from aging up. Is that the intent? The intent is, as you age, obviously there's capacities that are lost, and so we then change some of the loading and the movements to compensate for that. We probably need to reassess the thresholds for where we're doing that, because the limits of what people are potential, or the limits of people's potential through CrossFit and through what we've been doing this for a long time, are being pushed further and further. So we will take a look at that in the off season and see if our scales are appropriate or not. At Avera9636, Dave, happy to see CrossFit is holding elite athletes to movement standards in quarterfinals. That said, I think it is apparent the online qualifier quarterfinals is not an appropriate or sustainable arena for advancing athletes with realistic chances or proven ability to compete at semifinal games level. CrossFit is at a crossroads. Continue to embrace and include the majority who pay the bills, or the elite few who ultimately advance to the semifinals games. I look forward to see what solution CrossFit arrives at for next season. Yeah, I was just literally talking about all of that stuff. There will be a different solution next season. At Ben Tanner 8797, thanks for these videos. They're a lot of fun to watch. Training question: if you were to go back to with the knowledge you have now of CrossFit, how would you train for buds? Would you do anything different? I would do more intensity. I ran a lot. I did a lot of body weight stuff. Clearly swam a lot. I would swim a lot. Swimming was my weakness in buds. But I would do a lot more of those things with intensity rather than long, slow distance. And I would incorporate lightweight training. I wouldn't go too heavy on weight training, mainly body weight, running and swimming, but those elements in interval style or with more intensity throughout. At Craig Howard from Diablo, fantastic quarterfinal. 41 athletes at Diablo participated from start to finish and loved the experience, even if some could not do some of the movements or loads. Our community came out to cheer and support, creating more fans and more engagement for all levels of the CrossFit Games competition. Thank you to you and your team, especially Angel. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for everything you do as an affiliate owner and a longtime affiliate owner, and fostering that community you have up there in the East Bay. Because you guys have something special going on out there, and a lot of other affiliates in the East Bay. There's a lot of good affiliates out there. So Thanks for that note, Craig. At Nickel Plate Fitness, isn't safety inherent in how we do everything in CrossFit? In our limited experience, injuries occur when one encounters something in which one is ill prepared. Isn't safety inherent in how we do everything in CrossFit? Safety is inherent in how we do everything in CrossFit if taught properly and if overseen with the right rigor and right coaching and right attention to the movements. Here's the thing with CrossFit. These are complex movements. They are multi-joint, they are compound. They are not sitting in a machine doing leg extension or bicep curls. They're not single joint movement. Because of the nature of that, because they are complex movements and full body movements, they require proper teaching and then proper follow-up and coaching to what was just taught to be performed effectively. And so in an environment where it's taught correctly, and then there's some follow-up and some further coaching, and then executed in the right way, and executed in the right way consistently, mechanics, consistency, intensity, and then intensity, yeah, it's completely safe, clearly. And but that's the thing. It's safe when done and taught, and it's safe when the foundations are laid in the right order. At Michael X17, ordered a keychain and EVO today. Thanks for the support. TDCmercantile.com. You can get some keychains, leather keychains that I make by hand, and extra virgin olive oil. At DMS10, that is locally sourced. I'm not. People have asked if I'm growing the olive oil on the ranch. I'm not growing the olive oil on the ranch. I have a good friend about 20 minutes away who has an orchard, olive oil orchard, and we work together. And it's his oil that I'm packaging and setting up and shipping and selling. At DMS 1010, the elephant in the room is the beautiful description of nutrition in the journal and the horrific nutrition within the walls of a box, elite and non-elite. Yeah, it's a problem. Nutrition in our community is a problem, and I think we need to get in front of it, and we need to do a really good job of continuing to educate sound and solid principles for all levels. I was in Colorado last week for a couple days. We had some meetings. Those went well there. We dropped into a workout. I overscaled. It was 10 down to 1 of push press at 155 and then row 250 meters. So 10 push press, row, 9, all the way down to 1. I scaled down to 95. I really probably should have used 135. As I got to rounds 4, 3, 2, at 4, I started adding weight, and by the last final rounds, I was at 135. So that's an example of overscaling, and I should have used a little more weight. I had a shooting competition last Saturday in Sacramento. Just about 40 people there. I took third. I was happy about that. Long-range rimfire competition. Semi-final tickets. Make sure you get your tickets. Go check out some of the events. I'll be trying to go to a large number of them, so I'm excited about that. And then Murph Challenge is coming up. So check out their website. Check out our site. And Murph coming up soon, so it'll be a good time. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Talk to you guys next week.